Well, that was weird. That thing just froze up on my end. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Hey, Tim. Welcome to another show of the Bizarre and the Unknown. Today, we're going to go over the ghouls of World War II, specifically the ghouls that was reported by soldiers looking over no man's land. No man's land. A lot of trench warfare happened in France during World War One, and the land in between each trench was known as no man's land. And there were several reports from soldiers of seeing these tall, white, grayish, gaunt creatures eating the dead and wounded out in no man's land. So that's what we're going to kind of focus on today. I did write a little short story to go with that to see what you guys think. I was looking at that because come on, dang thing, work for me. I got to deliver voting machines tomorrow, so I was kind of looking at that, and they're like 80% chance of storms. I'm like, crap, I'm getting wet tomorrow. Wet and cold. Go figure. So everybody make sure you get out and vote Tuesday because, then I'm not doing my job. I'm getting wet and freezing for no reason. Hey, Gary, how's it going? Hey, Carl, how's it going? Hey, man. I served with the well, he said he wasn't Cajun. He said he was coon ass. He get pissed. He called him a Cajun, but I served with one of those. He was from Nolans, so I ain't gonna run. I'm used to it, man. Real quick, you guys still keep William Nighthawk in your prayers. Last I know, he's still in the hospital. They're still trying to figure out what's going on with him, and with that being said, I was almost late today. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I know. It's been raining a little bit here, kind of lightly. I was almost late for the show today. I was sitting there working on Beast of the Ozarks. I got chapter 3 finished, and was in the middle of editing it when I looked over at time. And went, oh crap! So I had to rush around and get things done. Hey, Urso, how's it going? So here's the story that I wrote, and I forgot to edit it. I meant to do that earlier, and I got sidetracked working on a couple books that I was working on today. Private Connor had just reached the front lines in France. The trenches that they lived and died in smelt of death and decay, shit, and piss. The dirt walls were stained red with blood, and black spots from explosions covered it as well. Connor questioned himself if he was still on Earth or if he was in hell. All around, sounds of gunfire, explosions, screams of pain, and laughing filled the surrounding area. Lieutenant Housley approached him. Who are you, Private? Connor popped to attention. Private Matthew Connor, sir. Lieutenant Housley scuffed and held out his hand. Give me your paperwork, Private. Connor fished around in his upper pocket of his military coat and found his transfer papers. Then he handed them to the lieutenant. Lieutenant Housley took them forcefully from Connor's hand and grumbled as he read over them. After he was finished, he shoved the paperwork into Connor's chest. Looks like you're my fucking problem. That's all I need. Fucking greenhorn fresh from boot. Fucking up my operation. I strictly told these high and mighty assholes that I need 50 experienced fighters. They give me a dumbass boot that doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Housley spit a large puddle of tobacco juice on the ground and looked at Connor. Climb that ladder, and for no reason stick your head very far above ground level. Watch over the cursed land called No Man's Land and look for enemy soldiers. If you stick your head up further than what I just said, you will no longer be my problem. You will be shipped home in a pine box. Am I understood? Connor nodded. I understand, sir. Connor stuck just the upper portion of his head over the berm and gasped at what he saw. There in front of him was a land littered with shell craters, concertina wire, fire, smoke, injured men, and the decaying dead. The sight of the hellish place almost caused him to puke. After a couple hours, it began to get dark, and the glow from fires was all that lit up the land before him. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught movement. He slowly turned his attention to the area and watched as a dead body was being dragged underground. Then, off in the darkness, a strange screech-like scream filled the night air and was shortly followed by others. Then the sounds of men screaming out in pain and fear followed. Connor's heart began to beat fast. What the hell is going on? He whispered. Quickly, flashes of grayish figures could be seen darting around. They moved as fast, so fast that Connor could not keep an eye on them. Connor began to bring his rifle up. Then Lieutenant Housley placed a hand on his shoulder. Do not be doing that, Private. If you do, you'll bring those things down upon us, and none of us will survive their wrath. I know it's hard to watch, but we cannot kill those fucking things, and they are not of this world. He spat out a stream of tobacco juice and watched the horror that played out before them. Them muzzies call them ghouls. I think they were spawned from the depths of evil, or from the. I think they were spawns from the death and evil as they spawned. I got it. Them muzzies call them ghouls. I believe they were spawned from the death and evil of this land, and they are demons. Either way, they are not of this world, and they cannot be killed. They both watched as one devoured a man alive, and the screams from the man that that the ghoul was feasting on would forever be etched in their minds. They did not care what the higher ups say. These were not deserter wild men. Hey, freaky. So I kind of wrote that. It's getting hard nowadays to find the reports from the soldiers that were over there in France during World War I. And hey, Firewater. So I kind of wrote that from memory from a lot of encounters I read when I was younger. It wasn't a pleasant place. I mean, cryptids, supernatural, paranormal set aside, no man's land literally was hell on earth. I mean, whatever went out there rarely returned. I mean, you were either stuck out there wounded and dying, or you were dead, and it was hard to get out there and catch gather up the bodies. They finally formed a peace treaty. It's called a Christmas ceasefire, if memory serves me correctly, where they would allow each side to go out and collect the bodies because the stench was so bad and the horrific scene of this was so bad. Also, the fact of what they call deserters, deserter wild men, and ghouls was feasting upon these. So they came together during a Christmas time and agreed, okay, yeah, we need a certain time that we can go out and gather our dead and wounded. So that ended up becoming a thing at one point in time. Now, your modern versions of what these things were out there in no man's land, mainstream media is going to tell you that it wasn't ghouls, it was deserter wild men. And at the 1918 Battle of the Somme, a British cavalry officer orders a search party to follow a dozen German troops into no man's land. And this is, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, this is actually an encounter of this this British officer that he wrote in his book. Swearing he saw them go underground, he was advised against it as the sun was setting soon. The legends say wild, ghoul-like men will feast on the Germans and kill anyone who gets in the way. Of all the military myths and legends that sprung from World War I, there is possibly no greater mystery and nothing closer to the men in the trenches than the wild deserters of the no man's land. Most military myths are passed down from generation to generation, usually from a friend who knows a guy who was there. You probably heard about the infamous Ether Bunny, the Bigfoot of Vietnam, or even a ghost story or two, especially if you were stationed in Okinawa. The wild deserters are a legend shared on both sides of the war by thousands of men across almost all armies, except notably the United States. Everyone knows that no man's land is the area on the front lines between two opposing armies. It's remembered as a harsh, muddy, unforgiving place, shell-pocked, created by unexploded ordnances, and littered with the dead and dying. But that did not stop the precipitous rumors of that men lived out there as the war raged on. Poet Wilfred O. Once described it as like the face of a moon, chaotic, crater ridden, uninhabitable, awful, the abode of madness. Screams and moans of dying men forever lost echoed across the open ground. Anyone who dared to try and rescue them might never hear the shot that ended their lives, too. Yet troops in all trenches by the Austrian, British, Canadian, French, and German, and Italian swore that a cadre of deserters who would no longer fight the war braved life in no man's land. Legend has it they lived off of the leavings of the dead, picking away at them for food, water, weapons, and clothing. Like something from Night of the Living Dead, they came out at night to fill the bellies with the flesh of the newest dead men and would even fight each other for the freshest morsels. Over time, these deserters were slowly devolved from men to feral zombies as they feasted on their fellow soldiers. While most of the men who fought in World War I knew the tales of the wild deserters, it wasn't until 1920 that the legend appeared in print for the world to know. It was the aforementioned British cavalry and Lieutenant Colonel Adrian Arthur Home Beeman who first wrote about them in the wartime memoir, The Squadron. And that was that first story I was talking about. The World War II Christmas story is far from this version. That's because we're talking about World War One, Firewater. Hey, Larry, we're talking about no man's land, which was in between the two trenches during World War One. But I know what story you're talking about, and the same thing happened during the Christmas time, where one German started singing. I think it was "Oh Holy Night," if I remember correctly, and then the Americans joined in with them as well. But we're talking about the no man's land in between the trenches of World War One. But yes, the one you're talking about, the Christmas story you're talking about, did come from World War II. After that, the legend had been written about dozens of times, even among the Americans who allegedly had no deserters turn into wild men. It was said that the random shots fired in the dead of the night were the wild men who were either fighting over fresh corpses or creating one from a dying soldier. So what happened to these wild men when the war ended and no man's land disappeared? Army Captain Sir Osbert Sitwell wrote that the feral troops were all captured and rounded up, then gassed to death so that they couldn't continue ravaging the French countryside after all the troops had departed. So you were seeing here how these the military higher ups would change things up. And this version here is going to be the common one you'll find on the interweb now. Unlike when I was younger, you could literally find the stories that the soldiers, even Americans, even though they said they didn't, even Americans wrote about seeing these tall, white, grayish, ashen grayed, gaunt creatures dragging men to their death or feasting upon them out there in no man's land. After that cavalry officer wrote his stuff and the other militaries came out, I hate hearing that, Larry. Is that my end, or is it me, or is it just you? Because we got some rain going on now, so I was kind of worried about that. But and I'll get a little bit more in depth over Adrian Arthur's writings, The Squadron, here in a moment. But you'll see where things start to change, And before they started coming out with this, this is what they were calling them. After this, it was deserter wildmen. And it's just, It is what it is. But that's, I mean, when you're dealing with the mainstreams, with anything cryptid, paranormal, supernatural, you see this very same aspect every single time. And it was that way in the military too. Who's going to want to fight in the trenches of France if there's possibility of them being eaten by a demon? You know, they didn't want that stuff coming out. They didn't want to know the civilians back home what was happening to their loved ones. You know, why their remains couldn't be returned. Ah, dang it. I'm sorry about that. It must be the storm we're having, or the rain we're having right now. I was kind of hoping I wouldn't have that issue. Here's a little bit more in detail of what Adrian Arthur was writing. Adrian Arthur Helm Beeman. Oh, it's a buffering. Can everybody else hear me just fine, or is it just on Larry's end? Oh, that is cool, Firewater. Did you hear any stories? Was he over in France? Fine on your end? Good. Okay. Man, there must be something going on in your area then, Larry. But I'm interested, Firewater. T-Mobile. Yeah. I gosh dang thing keeps jumping around. I missed my spot. I'm interested in if your great grandfather fought in the trenches in France. Yes, I can't even do. If I had T-Mobile, I wouldn't have a signal one out here. Unfortunately I have to have Verizon out where I did. Oh man, if there's a way you can find out, I would love to hear about that. Awesome, thank you, Urso. Adrian Arthur Homie Beeman, a lieutenant colonel in the British Cavalry. No other telling of the legend, at least in print, is a horrifying as Beeman's writing. Writing just 2 years after the war's end. Beeman's tale began in the early 1918 on the marshes of the Somme in northern France. Oh, good. Glad to hear that. Yeah. I know he was related to one of the original singers of the signers of the Constitution. Oh, that's wicked cool right there. That is something to be proud of. Yeah, hey Freaky. Yeah, try refreshing. Sorry to slow sounds here, but video is glitchy. Some doing the freezing frame thing. Ah, dang it. This is where a lot of the bloodiest battles of the war were fought, and Beeman is convinced that he has witnessed 24 or so German prisoners of war vanish into the ground. He wants to send a search party into a maze of abandoned trenches. Still, he is advised against it because of the area. The area was people that with the wild men, British, French, Australian, German deserters who lived there underground like ghouls among the modern dead, and who came out at night to plunder and to kill. In the night, an officer told him, mingled with the snarling or carrion of dogs, they often heard inhuman cries of rifle shots coming from the awful wilderness, as thought the Bistal Denise were fighting amongst themselves. Yeah, I mean, he was a high-ranking Mason in the Scottish Rite. Not so proud about that. I'm a Mason. People get things very misunderstood about Masons. For one, the highest rank you can achieve is what I am, which is a third-degree Master Mason. Anything else is further education. So all those that tell you higher ranking, that's inaccurate. I mean, I'm a Master Mason, and I can tell you, Over 90% of the Masons I know are the same way as I am. We love our country. We want to fight against the evil, and we like putting the truth out about things. Y'all, you was in Job's Daughters. I heard about that. I never was a part of that. Um, but yeah, I'm just in Blue Lodge though. I'm not in Scottish Rite, York Rite, or anything like that. I mean, I know a lot that are. I haven't done it myself yet. I like being in Blue Lodge, and that's where I'm at right now. So you're seeing here how he's describing things that he's seen, and he's got people saying, "No, no, you can't do this. You can't do this." And then, of course, this is written 2 years after the war. So what he wanted to say, could, I mean, I'm not saying it is, but could have been very well been told to him, no, you're going to write it like this, or you're going to be in trouble, which is very common. That is very common in the military. A lot of things that you read in the military sometimes ain't the truth. It's what you're told the truth is and what the people need to think that the truth is. So, and that has been that way for a long, long, long time. That's nothing new by any means. Um, Now, this is a lot of this I'm having to recall from memory. Because, like I said, it gets hard to find this stuff anymore. I was even on DuckDuckGo and was having a hard time finding a lot of this information that I used to be able to find. Soldiers on the sides were repeatedly said to have seen both wild men and ghouls, even though the military and historians will tell you they saw deserters and not. The boots on the ground tell a different story. They continually tell encounters of watching grayish, gaunt, ghostly things coming from the ground and feasting on the dead or dying. They also report watching soldiers dragged underground. They also report seeing wild men scavenging the dead or dying. Some will say the gunshots at night are the dying trying to protect themselves from what was coming after them. Others say it was was them ending their pain and misery from what was consuming them. We see that from the soldiers' accounts, there are two separate types of things: scavenging the dead and dying. There are mainstream historians who would tell you these are deserters. I ask, who would you believe? For me, I would believe the ones who was on the ground and would see what was going on about them. The soldiers could hear screams from the dying and injured, but they also heard strange screams that did not sound normal. They explained that it almost sounded demonic in nature, and that and long ago I heard of an encounter from a journal of a platoon of soldiers in the trenches. They were looking out over no man's land one night, and a private saw a ghostly creature tearing flesh from a wounded German soldier. The German was screaming out in pain as this thing fed upon him. The private, against several protests from his comrades that had been there and witnessed these things, were to not shoot him, he shot the thing. This caused all the grayish, ghostly things to attack them, killing almost all of them. If I remember correctly, one survived because he covered himself with the dead and decaying that was in the trenches with him. He covered himself in them bodies and was there for several hours. Um, and this encounter that I just talked about here is what inspired me to write Mundy's Tale, General Mundy's Tale, of how Grimson and him, he came to serve under Grimson, was actually from this encounter here, where he fired upon them. They all came in and annihilated a whole platoon of people in these trenches, and he survived. Well, this guy here survived by covering dead and decaying bodies on top of him. But Mundy survived because Grimson came in and rescued him. So, I mean, I changed it up a little bit. But when you read Vangerian Guard Book 1, House of Battle, and it talks about when Mundy came into service with Grimson, that's actually where that story of his past comes into effect. That's where I got it from. Um, the guy that survived, I think he was under the dead bodies for like 4 days. No food, no water, and he's got all the death and decaying. Hey, ADA, all the death and decaying, dripping on him and getting in his nose and his mouth and his eyes. And when he was finally rescued, he was on the brink of death himself from all this infection and his bad bacteria and stuff like that. But that was the story that inspired me for the tale behind Monday. Was that story there? So we see this quite often. Now you'll see there's also several encounters in no man's land there during World War I in France of them seeing ghosts and other things. And I believe they even seen wolf-like humanoids there as well. Because dealing with trench warfare isn't horrible enough, you then have to worry about these damn, no kidding, and that's the thing too, there's so much things, and when you have that much death and that much anger and hatred and evil in an area, it's not going to be uncommon to see something that's supernatural like a ghoul gravitate towards that land, because essentially that's what they are. It's like a big lighthouse, a beacon begging them on, a big bug zapper saying, hey, food here. That's exactly what it's like. So, and you'll hear instances of this from many horrific battles throughout so many wars, of hearing similar encounters of this or something else. It don't have to be a ghoul, it could be something else. Exactly, Corey. Blood and emotion fuel the paranormal. In this case, you're dealing with a ghoul, and that's supernatural. A ghoul is a jinn, and a lot of people will tell you, oh, it couldn't have been a ghoul because jinn are from the Middle East. Jinn were created and around on this planet before humans were. So that's why I've never stuck to that theory, because they're a supernatural entity that has been on this planet longer than humans. I personally, in my opinion, they cannot be bound to just the Middle East, especially when you hear the descriptions of what these soldiers talked about in their journals, and not even saying the name, but the description fits the ghoul to a T. So that's why I'm on that aspect of it, and I could be proven wrong one day. I really could. But until then, honestly, I'm a firm believer a ghoul can travel outside of the Middle East. And from the encounters you hear from these soldiers in the journals, they very well could have been witnessing the ghoul doing this type of stuff. A ghoul is not something friendly. It is far from anything being friendly. So, they're known to hunt and feast on people. No man's land would be a perfect home for a ghoul. Honestly, anything that feasts on flesh. You got to put a couple aspects in mind here. During wars like this, you're not going to have normal game to hunt. All that stuff's going to be gone. The gunshots, the explosions, the yelling, the screaming, the vehicles, every aspect of this which played in this hellish type of fighting, there's not going to be possible. Possible. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. If you actually study what a ghoul is and you study the big W, they're very similar. That's why I've always posed the question. I don't think they're stuck to one area, because too many countries have very similar things. They're just called differently. And we noticed that with Bigfoot. Look how many names Bigfoot has. He can't be the only one that's been known by something else somewhere else. They could be very well be the exact same thing, but in this area called something, in this area it's called something else. Possibly, although the big W is a Native American demon, could that demon be part of the ancient power? Possibly. I can't dispute it. I definitely need more evidence to go along with it. Um, oh yeah. Um, so I mean, I can't dispute that. I can't say yes. I can't say no. They very well could be two separate entities. At the same time, the possibility of them being the same is just as good as them being separate. In all actuality, it really can. You know. Um, sorry, I was reading a message from Robbie real quick. Um, I mean, I don't know. I mean, have you guys? I'm kind of curious who all here has heard about these ghouls in no man's land during World War One. When I was a kid, dude, you guys know me. I love history, and I always knew I was going to be a soldier. I always knew I was going to be a soldier. Originally, I was going to be a fighter jet pilot. And then I couldn't be that because I had glasses, and then other things in my life changed, and then influences in my life also changed it, and then I became what I wanted to be from then on. That was a Marine grunt. I always knew that my place was on the front line. Being that buffer between hell and civilization, I knew that was my place. I always knew that was my place. Ever since I was knee high to a grasshopper's ass. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's a common one there, Roxanne. You have, but very little. I just remember going to the library in my school when I was a kid and getting all these books from these different wars and learning studying stuff. And there's books with um, that has journal entries from these soldiers of this time, and they're all talking about this stuff. I wish I could remember what them books were. When I was younger, I never thought. When I was a kid in school, internet wasn't a thing. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. I mean, that was a rich people and governmental thing. I think that once you know that the paranormal is real, you kind of leave the gate open to accept and understand that other things are out there. Oh, exactly. Yeah, Firewater, you're 100% right. And sadly, as much as I hate to say this, it really takes something drastic happening to someone before they wake up and go, "Holy crap, these things are real." I mean, it's sad, but that's what happens. Some people, I mean, a few people, they're accepting to it from the get and go. For me, for one, my very first cryptid experience, I was not accepting to it. I thought it was my great grandpa pulling my leg, joshing me a little. It wasn't until I seen that footprint that I realized grandpa wasn't full of crap. Heard about German wolfmen roaming no man's land, but not the ghoul. Was that during World War I or World War II, Gary? Because I believe there was encounters during World War I even of wolf-like humanoids in no man's land. Um, but you'll hear a lot more of the German werewolves in World War II. But I'm kind of curious: was that World War I or World War II? They talked about that. I've had countless paranormal experiences, but never any cryptid experiences. I've had cryptid, paranormal, supernatural. For me, in a situation like that, Firewater, I can only speak for me. I would love to have experiences like that. At the same time, the more I've learned, doing this stuff and studying this stuff and listening to other people and his encounters and the other people's interpretations, I've realized that it ain't all sunshines and rainbows when you have a cryptid encounter. I mean, sometimes it quite literally is a hellish experience. It is probably the single most scary, evil thing that you could ever experience. I've been blessed. My experiences, for the most part, have been very peaceful. There is plenty out there that is not the case. Yeah, never ask for paranormal experiences that you are not ready to. Oh, that is no joke. Lord knows, I've learned the heart. Southern friend. Okay, Gary, thank you. Yeah, Lord knows I've made enough mistakes when it does dealing with paranormal and supernatural that you're 100% right on that, Firewater. I mean, you think you want this stuff and it's going to be so cool, and it bites you in the ass. And sadly, it's the same way with cryptids, too. So, yeah, I mean, so there you go. I thought I heard some encounters about that type of stuff in World War One as well, but I couldn't remember, and I couldn't find anything on it. But I was thinking I remembered that as well when I was reading the stuff when I was a kid. Hey, Hobbit, how's it going? Demos, how you doing? If you go looking for something, you'll find it. And I learned that from experience. Yeah. First time I went ghost hunting, found something I didn't want to. Oh, I mean, exactly. And I've tried telling people several times too that, look, when you're doing like paranormal, you're not always going to find an apparition. You're not always going to find that misty thing. Now, like I talked about yesterday when I revealed a confirmation of an apparition that was caught when we did the his family, and I did the paranormal investigation of Shade Beaver. I can confidently say now, this picture that I can't remember if it was him or Noah who took it. They caught an apparition on camera. I can confidently say that because I went up there Friday night and tried to replicate that photo. I couldn't get the mist, and I did not get the face. Oh, it was you. Thank you, DA. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was you or him. Thank you so much for letting me know that. So I can honestly, I'm waiting for it to pop up on my end here so I can, there we go. I can confidently say after trying to debunk this picture, and I took it from the same angle that the original was. I even took one up close, trying to debunk this picture. I could not replicate that picture. The fog wasn't there, and the face wasn't there. So I can, with good confidence, say I firmly believe that he probably, caught a picture of a full body, or not a full body, but of an apparition, and it looked like a railroad worker. When we looked at it, that's from what we've talked about before. To us, it looked like a railroad worker, which makes sense because that town Everton was formed as a railroad town. I've never gone looking, but I have had it come to me. Oh, yeah, I can't say that. I mean, were you scared? I mean, how was your feelings when that happened? I mean, I know for me, my first paranormal experience. Granted, I was 3 years old, scared the crap out of me. For mostly now, paranormal don't bother me. It's the supernatural that bothers me. If you guys want to share your encounters and want me to do a video on it, email me at cryptidmythological@gmail.com. If you want to be anonymous, I'll keep you anonymous. Well, and that is a good question, Roxanne. I'm a firm believer. I would have to say yes. I mean, that's my point of view on it, my opinion, because if you study, the ancient people that talked about this type of stuff, they were living, they were the first beings, the elder big brothers. So they would have a soul. If you study Anunnaki, it tells you that they made humans from the clay of the earth and the blood of the DNA of the Anunnaki. If you study what they meant in clay, that was the life forms that was on this planet. And they talk about life forms being tall and hairy and strong, just was uncontrollable. So I firmly believe that, yeah, I think there very well could be cryptid ghosts, i.e. as in Bigfoot or Dogman. Yes. Yeah, I was the same way. I was 3 when it happened to me, Firewater, but yeah, I agree. All of my paranormal cryptid experiences, encounters happened when I was looking to have them. Oh, wow. That's a very rare, because I mean I want to go out looking for them and I can't find them. It's always when I don't think about it. It's whenever I have something happen. My dad said all have paranormal incidences all their life, me included. Yeah, I mean, and so many people do. A lot of people will shut it out, but a lot of people are accepting to it, and that's like when we talk about these ghouls in No Man's Land in World War One. I'm more accepting to them possibly being ghouls, not just because this is the stuff I like. It's because you listen to the encounters. And when you listen to the counters, not the higher ups, not the brass, not mainstream historians, the encounters of the soldiers that had boots on ground. It's hard to dispute that when you got so many soldiers from different countries talking about the very same thing. It's hard to dispute that. Like the one in the video I sent you. Yeah. I mean, and that's where my mind directly went to. I refuse to look for it because I am sensitive to energy. I am too. I mean, that's how I can pick up where they're at. That's when I know when my ass needs to get out of a place. That's where I could kind of pinpoint where these things are to focus my attention. I get it, Firewater. I'm just more accepting to it. And you not wanting to, I can't fault you for that. If you're not ready to deal with something like that and you don't want to have them in encounters, I'm never going to push somebody to do it. That is for you. I'm different. I'm me, you're you. I can't dispute you one bit on that. For me, I don't know if I'm lucky or if I got something about me, but if I actually go looking for something, I usually find it. Or more accurately, it senses my attention and finds me. Yeah, I've never been that lucky, but there's people out there that are Demos. I mean, they really are. There's times I really wanted to find it, but like I said, I find more things when I'm not looking for it than I am when I'm actually looking for it. Where you at, bud? Come here. As long as you sit still. Come here. You know how to get up here. As long as you can sit still, you can be up here. You're pain in my butt. So yeah, and I mean, I've seen strange things while I was in the military. And I get told I'm full of crap, but I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. If you guys are looking for some merch, I have my own merch lines. I got several different lines through Teespring. Go to thebizarreandtheunknown.com and you'll be able to find and all the artwork for my merch is what I create myself. So that's all mine. But yeah, if you want to support the channel, a good way to do it is go to my merch store. I feel once your eyes are open to these things, you not only notice more, but you seem to know your energy. DA, you're right, buddy. And I even go one step further, saying for some of us, I mean, I'm one of those. It pushes me further or closer to wanting to learn more about these things. It fascinates me to the point. Even the times I get scared out of my gourd, it pushes me to learn more about these things because I want to understand. I'm the type of person I want to understand what actually is coming, what is dealing with me, what I'm seeing. I want to know this stuff. Get the ginger t-shirt. Yeah, we have a Ginger Lives Matter line there that I made up because Roxanne wanted some Ginger Lives Matter line. So I actually have some Ginger Lives Matter line of shirts and coffee and drink wear stuff like that in my merch store. You're absolutely right, Roxanne. Demos, the ghost encounter was enough for me that I don't want to go looking for anything, let alone cryptids. Yeah, and dude, I agree. I mean, it's not for everybody. I mean, it really ain't. If you guys watched that live when I was down checking out that werewolf/dogman encounter, I mean, you guys said you can hear it. You can hear the fear in my voice. There was something there that actually had me. That is one of the very few times I've been ran out of the woods. And that thing ran me out of the woods. And I seriously think what was trying to call me to the west was wanting to unalive me. I'll settle for watching other people on YouTube. Hey, more power to you, buddy. I can't fault you for that, bud. I can't fault you one bit for that. I respect that. I respect those who know that, hey, I can't deal with this, so I'm not going to. I can't look down on anybody for that, dude. No, much respect to you guys that can't. I know how to set an energy shield, but I don't know if it is something strong for going out and looking for it. I've heard scuttlebutt about energy shields. I've never personally put any stock into it. It's something I need to look into. I just go out there. For me, it's not really setting up a shield. It's uh I didn't say ladder. I said matter. Freaky, you trying to get me in trouble. You know, it's it's me being keeping myself mentally ready, and I know I know my limits, and I can feel when it's time. Like I did that one Saturday. I knew I had actually pushed myself a little further than I should have, and it was time for me to get the hell out of there. Oh, I can't wait. Gotta have the Embrace the Suck Margolin t-shirts. DA's working on his Embrace the Suck Margolin t-shirts. I definitely want one of those. Ain't no doubt. I want one of those. Hey, Candy, how's it going? Um, well, fear the woke. Not going there on this show. Oh, that is a rumble conversation. Trouble never. Yeah, I know. I have enough hard time trying to stay out of trouble right now. Oh man. But no, I mean, me personally, I'm going to run into that. I'm going to check it out. But like I said, I've made a mini life. Most of my life is spent searching paranormal, supernatural, and I have dabbled in some of the cryptids when I was younger. But 98% of what I messed with until recently, not counting the experiences out here, I'm talking about actually going out and investigating, has been paranormal, supernatural. Hey, Hobbit, stream vid is lagging like crazy. We'll watch the replay. Okay, sorry, buddy. It's good to see you in here, though. I know that vert. Well, yeah, but I am, man. I'm seriously. I want to stuff, and really, you're not going to learn anything by just doing podcast. This is my opinion. I'm not going to learn anything just by doing podcasts and looking on the internet. I learn from boots on ground. I love boots on ground because you're out there in that environment. You're in that element, and you're pushing your energies to the max trying to figure these things out. Depends on if it's on his end or mine, Freaky. It really depends on whose end it's on. But I mean, that's just my opinion on that. I quit Facebook in 2020 because I know that I am unable to keep my pile. Yeah, I have a tendency to speak. I mean, I do too. I mean, if I honestly, I do too. And sometimes I got to remind myself I can't be that guy. I have to stop. And sometimes I got to step away. I'll step away from the internet for a little bit. I'll step away from social media for a little bit because I've got to get my mind reset. Yeah, so, no kidding, Freaky. Yeah, some people do learn from boots on backside. You're absolutely right, buddy. Yeah, speaking your mind shouldn't be, but once again, that's a rumble conversation. I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. But yeah, I agree. I agree. But I mean, so I don't know. I mean, you just reminded me some stuff I bought. I'm gonna have to wait to make it though, because if I make it now, my daughter will eat every bit of it, and I'll be lucky to get one piece. But I mean, you'll look throughout history doing research on this stuff, and you'll see how the people talk about something versus how mainstream or higher ups talk about something. And this is where things come, and this is where, if you're researching, you got to learn to try to read between the lines. Parrot doggy is back. Yeah. Smurfy, what's that? What's that? Took pumpkin pie out of the freezer about an hour ago. Oh, pumpkin pie. Heck yeah, man. Yeah, I like pumpkin pie. Of course, pecan pie, man, that's my weakness. Good pecan pie or cherry cobbler or an apple cobbler. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. I gotta have ice cream in mine. Oh yeah, they do. I mean, they do. You know, I like brownies, and I like caramel and snow. You're about to fall off my arm, bud. Um, no one can a pee for me. It's good, Da. I can't dispute that. A good hot crisp uh, um, blackberry cobbler with some ice cream. You can't go wrong. 2A, what's happening, buddy? How's it going? But I mean, you'll see that, like we're talking about ghouls right now, but you'll see that with anything dealing with this type of stuff, it's always changed. You know, the people will say one thing, but the higher ups say another. This is the case. It's been like that for a long time. So I don't know. I mean, I tried to. Let me hide this to see if I can do this. Well, that doesn't show very good. Let me do it this way. Hold on here just a second. I was trying to create a close enough resemblance to. Why did I do it that way? Daggone you. To a ghoul as I can when I was creating a picture for the show. And let me come down to where I got it at. Where are you at? Where are you at? There you are. Purchased. Well, no, you are being laggy. Let me share this. So the closest way I could create what a ghoul looks like is this here, and this is not perfect. This is not. It's close, but it's still quite a bit off. And this is pretty close to. You wasn't seeing the ribs. I mean, you would see the flesh on it, but it was very gaunt. You can see the bones through flesh, just not to this degree. But this is very close to what the descriptions of the ghoul that they talked about for them soldiers. So, I mean, that was artwork that I created trying to get something for the show. But yeah, I mean, that is something very common that they seen there in No Man's Land when they were watching these ghouls do what they were doing. Years ago, I used to make pumpkin pie from a dead jack. I was real mean back then. Yeah, if you guys watched my show, my Halloween special, you'll know where the term jack-o'-lantern came from. Yeah, it does. Long fingers. It's got claws on the end of them. I mean, that's very common with a ghoul. And you can see how very similar it is to the Big W. That's why I couldn't dispute Roxanne's question, because they are similar. There is some differences, there's a lot of similarity too. So, I mean, could it be a cousin related ordeal? It very well could be. That's right. Yeah, getting shot all day and then those at night. Oh, note that. Yeah. I mean, oh, yeah. Oh, hey, DA, take it easy, man. We'll be catching you here in a little bit. I can't wait. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah. And if you guys know the show, oh my God, The Witcher, what he was fighting in that graveyard, or when that guy was trying to bury the dead bodies, those were ghouls. Yeah, those were ghouls. But yeah, they dig as well. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Yeah, I know. He's my buddy. You know, he's my buddy. So he has to be everywhere that I'm at. Smurfy's called a dog. So, but yeah, so I mean that's why the similarities are there. They are there is, like I said, there is differences, but there's a lot of similarities. Could they be the same type of creature called different name? Absolutely. Could they be something else very closely related? Also, absolutely. I mean, definitely could be. But it's just so weird that you know this really caused fear for a lot of the. I mean, on all sides of the line, was causing fear amongst these soldiers because of what they seen out there. I mean, if you're sitting there and living through the hell that you're living with during that type of warfare, and that doesn't bother you near as bad as what's coming out at night and grabbing things, that tells you better not. That kind of tells you a thing. Firewater, honestly, don't know. He's Chihuahua something mixed. I call him my rat dog. He's my buddy. I got rabbits. They growl and grumble when they don't want to go back in their. Oh yeah, they scream like a woman too. Corey says a friend of mine asked me to open a box he found in his late mother's closet, and when I lifted the lid, I felt an energy that made the hairs on my arms stand up. Turns out it was a sick call set. No kidding. Wow. You got to be careful with that type of stuff, though, yeah. Oh. You doing okay, dude? Okay, just making sure. Just making sure. You gonna say hi to everybody? He Smurfy is. Oh heck, my cat's flying around the house chasing you. Oh, I deal with that crap too. I do. No, he's man. He goes. Snow goes everywhere I go. He's my shadow. He is definitely my shadow. The other day, whenever I was trying to figure out what it was I saw run through my woods, that tall, dark figure I saw run through my woods, and I was at the tree line, and this was before that bird from the other side of that really loud bird from the other side of my yard was making noises at me. Snow did the same thing. What happened when I was out there grabbing up that stuff from that peanut butter jar and putting it in the evidence bags. I mean, we both felt something not right. His ass left me in the woods. And no matter how much I called him or tried to get his attention, I couldn't find him. And it scared me. So I had to end my life early because I was worried about my dog. So you couldn't find out. He was there. He was just in the field and running back and forth to the tree line. He just wouldn't come in. He was doing that very same thing the other day. Oh, top of the hour. Thank you, Roxanne. Let's watch a video on Dark Angel Meadow. If you're looking for the best trauma kits or the best first aid kits on the market, you can't go wrong with Dark Angel Medical. For right now, use DA's code Cryptid20 until I get my code from Kerry, from Doc himself. If you have FSA, HSA, you can use that to buy the kits. They are expensive, but you pay for what you get. And in Doc's kits are the very best trauma and first aid stuff you can buy on the market. I understand not being able to afford for them, afford them paying the whole thing up front. You can use Sezzle to buy them. I've done that myself. On both my kits I use Sezzle to buy them. So go over to darkangelmedical.com and get some of Kerry Pocket Doc Davis's kits. You won't be disappointed. If you want to learn how to use them, you can go to YouTube to Dark Angel Medical. You can also go to Instagram to Dark Angel Medical, and Doc puts out videos telling you how to use his kits. I do not get paid for this advertisement. I believe in his product so much that this is why I asked him if I can promote his stuff on my show. I use his kits, so I like them. He's like, "You're my shadow today, sucker." No, he's like, "Yeah." No, he wasn't like, "You're my shadow, sucker." He's like, "You're on your own, dude. Peace out. I'm not getting a part of that." Oh, Barry Littleton's live in 30 minutes. Restart from earlier. Okay, cool. Oh, yeah. I also want to thank Firewater for the $15 donation to buy me a coffee. For some reason, even though I hit the 500, I still can't get super stickers. If you want to support the show, you can buy the merch that I had up earlier, or you can go to buymeacoffee.com/the bizarre and the unknown. And that's a way to donate to the program. My wife's a nurse. She brings me home extras all the time for medkit. Yeah, I mean, for a long time, I used, I've got an old military first aid or field medics backpack, and I've got stuff in it. I take my Dark Angel out every time. I'm used to combat field medicine, so my Dark Angel kits are set up for combat field medicine use. And they have different types of them. Mine's just the military style because that's what I'm familiar with. But yeah, man, yeah, they're great. He had no sound and did 51 minutes that way. Oh, I've been there before or so. Oh, that so sucks. I have actually done that before and had to redo almost an entire freaking show before I found out I didn't have sound. That was so freaking embarrassing. That was like when I first started. I got everything from suture kits to net rats here. Oh, there you go, buddy. There you go. I mean, you're set for life, man. Yeah, you're definitely set for for life for that. Yeah, I like his stuff. That's why I do it. You can't go wrong with them. In fact, I had to get me a new investigation bag. I've got it in my closet now. I finished putting it together yesterday. Had to transfer everything because my old one, the zipper busted out that night I was doing that investigation. Surgical kits as well. Yeah, surgical kits as well. But yeah, no, man. I'll be honest with you. When I'm investigating, a good first aid and trauma kit is something I want. Because, the places I go and investigate, especially if your cell phone breaks, you're boned, dude. There ain't nobody. You'll be lucky to hear someone can hear you holler for you. Most likely it's going to be the cougar or something else that's going to hear you, and they're going to come in for a food source. So, I mean, I'm a firm believer, and I don't care if that's paranormal or supernatural investigation either, because you never know what would happen in the places you're doing that stuff at. First aid kits is essential. I mean, they really, really are essential. So, I mean, get one set up however you can. Get one set up. I mean, if you got the connection like Smurfy does, go that route. If you don't, Dark Angel Medical, baby. There's a great survival and medical book out there too. Forgot what the titles are. Oh, you're talking about Ancient Remedies or something like that. I've got a few of them. Oh, they're on my bookcase on the other side of the room. But yeah, no, it's important. Like I said, I mean, I knew first aid from Boy Scouts, but I learned a lot more through combat field medicine when I was in the Marines and the Army. Uh, it's important. I think it's a difference between life and death, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, there is actually quite a few of them that's pretty good, Smurfy. Absolutely, though. Um, but yeah, I mean, I take mine no matter where. When I go do that paranormal investigation of the Pythian Castle here in a few weeks, I'm going to be taking that with me there too. And even though I know it's a fairly safe place, you've always got that chance of something bad happening. I mean, it just really is. Dude, you're like getting super hot. I got to turn the fan on. I've got one dog literally at my feet and one here at my chest. There you go. I got to turn that fan on. Absolutely. I'm CPR certified. I agree with you, Smurfy. Absolutely. I think everyone should take a course, at least in CPR, make it a high school requirement or something. Definitely. That's cool. Or so you have a handheld EMT criteria manual. That's a good book to have on you too. I still got my books from the military with dealing with first aid, and I still got my Boy Scout book too dealing with first aid, and I've got books from other sources as well. Knowing basic first aid is extremely important. It is very, very important. So, I mean, I agree with you guys 100 on that. I've got these. We're supposed to be able to be wireless into my laptop for when I do investigations. These are outdoor security cameras, and I got them in today, but they're not wireless. So I've been sitting here playing with them. So I'm going to have to order some solar packs, battery chargers to plug these into. So when I'm out in the field doing investigations, I got to have these going into my iPad, and to kind of help on different, give me 4 other angles when I'm doing an investigation. Unfortunately, they don't teach anything practical in school. No, they don't. I don't think they did when I was in high school either. I think it was pretty basic. Like in gym, it was kind of basic in gym. First responders preserve life till hospital, so they need to not. Yeah, they do. Or so you're right. They really do. A good first responder will be the difference between you arriving home sore and hurt, or you arriving home in a pine box. They used to back when I was in school, but I want to say when I hit middle school age, they stopped. I remember learning that stuff in grade school, but it was pretty basic. I mean, not to the degree that I learned in other programs. You're about to fall off, dude. That's why I had you up here. I can't try to balance you in midair as you're falling asleep. But they used to whenever I was in grade school. I remember in grade school we even had woodworking, metal, drafting, etc. classes. Don't think they have that even. No, I don't think they do either, Smurfy. I took that stuff when I was in middle school. I think shortly after middle school is when they stopped doing it, and it sucked. I think those are essential classes, even home ec. Even though home ec was pretty much a chick class, I took home ec because, well, there was chicks in there. So you got to learn how to cook and sew, which I still can't sew, but I still can't sew. But I got to see the chicks. Hey, Freaky. They've even taken signatures away from kids so that can't legally sell or buy. Yeah, they stopped doing cursive. I've taught my kids cursive. I was a firefighter, first responder in the 90s. Hell yeah, dude. Thank you for that, Kevin. That's awesome, dude. That's badass. I never liked school that was in the center. It was so crowded being in the middle. Yeah, but you're crowded no matter where you go. You're crowded sitting in a room by yourself and on the beanbag eating Cheetos. When your fireman boyfriend jumps out of bed and throws a position to go out on a call, you know where you're ranked. Yeah. Yeah, same. Yeah, I had to teach mine that too. Jerk, but nope, not those chips. There was something else I was going to say, but I had to catch myself. Just think of Ron White. That's all I'm going to say. Ron White listened to a Christian television channel. Dude, I'm having a hard time holding you up here, bud. Hell, we had a rifle team in ROTC. Yeah, when I went to school, I mean, especially during this deer season, it was not uncommon to go to school with rifles in a gun rack in your back window of your pickup, and teachers were usually out there going, dude, that's pretty nice. You want to see mine? Not once did we ever have an issue. And I went to high school in a country town. We all damn near had, every single one of us, and I kept one in there pretty much year round, had rifles in our back windows and never had a problem. Firewater, you got the important job of keeping an eye on the Dutch oven. I teased him forever that he went to the wrong fire that night. We used to put boxing gloves on behind the Industrial Arts building, and we fought. When done, we learned a lesson. True story. I'm 64. Hell yeah. We never put boxing gloves on, man. We went to Pound Town, man. We went to breaking teeth and busting eyes. You guys are a hoot, dude. Yep, it's all daggone thing. Yep, it's all about firearm education and upbringing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I actually, so this is kind of cool. There's a mythology class that my youngest, is taking in high school. She's a senior this year. And her teacher is wanting me to come in and talk about cryptids in the class. So I may be going to my daughter's school for a day teaching her classes about cryptids and paranormal, supernatural, in their mythological class that they're taking. And the fact that I was asked to do that gave me a little bit of hope for some teachers, for very few of them, but some, that they're willing to, talk about this stuff even in school. Talk about cryptids and paranormal and supernatural, because that all plays into mythology. So she's watched my shows, and she's like, yeah, I mean, I want somebody who goes out there and does boots on ground. And so we got talking. I said, look, Fridays are my only days I can do it, but I'm down. I'm down like 4 flat tires, as Doc would say. So I may be, sometime here real soon, going in and teaching a class about cryptids, paranormal, and supernatural. I'm waiting for it to pop up. Eric, teach them to look up, way up, as well as left and right when you're crossing road. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just walking in the woods general, too. So, yeah, when I was asked to do that, man, I was humbled. I thought that was pretty cool, man. I was like, how can I say no to educate somebody on something? Hell yeah, I'll do it. My high school was teachers was a Golden Glove boxer, but was too scared to put gloves on with me back. Hell yeah, Don. Don, you don't hunt. I'm starting again this year. Do you hunt? I'm starting. Oh, very cool. Maybe get the next generation of investigators interested in these. Yeah, I mean, heck yeah. I mean, I get it. You'll be surprised how many kids and teenagers, when they find out that I investigate this stuff and I do shows on this stuff, that they're like, oh, wow. I mean, they're hung in on every single word, and you answer their questions and you explain things. I mean, and you can tell they're caught up in the conversation. I mean, this generation, this young generation, I'm not talking about the high schoolers. Some of the high schoolers, yes, but mostly it's the generation younger than them are hung on to every single word. Could be something to get foot in the door to debrief more grades in schools. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I agree, or so. Carl, not anymore. Disabled, can't do it anymore. That sucks, dude. Oh, that sucks. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I was kind of taken back by the question. I was like, sure. I mean, we talked about it at the parent teacher night, and I let her know, like, hey, Fridays is the only days I can do it, but yeah, I'll come in and do it. I don't have a problem. I just got to remember I can't talk old Marine grunt style. I got to be the proper and educated Edie Testerman, and I can't talk like an old Marine grunt. So I have to remember that. I used to speak in schools, but on different subjects. Yeah. Yeah, considering what you did, yeah, I can see that. Kids and teens are the ones who most likely will encounter kids looking for places to smoke and drink. Yeah. Well, it's so open nowadays. Possibly. Yeah, possibly or so. In my 20s, I sparred with rubber gloves. Yeah, we went to fisticuffs. It was all bare knuckle for us, man. We didn't wear gloves. We all bare knuckled ours. Well, dude, you need to stay up here. It's hard for me to hold. I can't hold you. I don't have powers to levitate you. And you're trying to get me to levitate you, and I can't levitate you. You got to stay up there, bud. You give me that look. Don, I'm also, but being I can walk, I'm good. Woods are where I find peace. Yeah, they really are. Even if you can't go out there hunting, man, just be able to connect with nature is important. It really is. So all right, we still got a little bit of time. I was checking it because I don't want to miss out on DA's show tonight. But you guys got any question about these ghouls in World War II in No Man's Land? I can see a conversation. I'm just waiting for it to pop up over here so I can read it because I can't read that small print down there. Murphy, they made gloves from. Oh, there they goes. From the same rubber they use for eraser. God, I remember beating erasers. You have to go outside and them chalk. You got that chalk cloud going, and you had to beat out the chalk from the erasers. I remember doing that when I was a kid in school, or washing to get in trouble, and you got to wash the chalkboard. Oh, that sucked. I'm not putting that one up. Oh man, gotta be good. Hey Jessica, how's it going? But okay, yeah, true. But no, I mean these ghouls in No Man's Land in World War II, they struck fear into a lot of the soldiers out there. They really did. I mean, they were nothing to me. It really wasn't. If you guys ain't following Jessica Jones, go to YouTube to the Cryptid Huntress and give her a like, subscribe, and follow, and a thumbs up, and let her know I said howdy. She's a really good researcher and investigator, You know, I love catching her shows. So you're missing out if you're not watching Miss Jessica Jones, the cryptid huntress herself, on YouTube for a low, low price of a free fee. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, but true in the 80s, rubbers changed the erasers to the other, and they very confusing for the time. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome, Jessica. Not a problem. Um, but you know, so I mean, you got, like I said earlier, you got these hardened ass men that's getting scared of this stuff. I mean, now that one counter was the only time I caught one where an actual group of them took out a platoon of soldiers in a trench because they got fired upon. But I mean, free 90 free, exactly, exactly, free 90 free, Jessica. It might be free fee, but it's costing you time. Hey, ain't nothing more better than time, baby. I think Brass would want a ghoul corpse or a live specimen. And who's to say they didn't have it? Who's to say they actually didn't have it? You know? Middle East used to use sheepskin. Yeah. Oh, crap. I should have read that before I put that up. Yeah, I remember learning about that in school, too. Oh, my God. But, you know, I'm wanting to say I would not put it behind them actually having captured one alive or the remains of one. You know, that honestly, I mean, granted, it was World War One, but not World War Two. The same people were alive during World War One that was alive during World War Two, and you see what they were dealing with. Yeah, ain't nothing but a good time on Jessica Prime Time. There you go. There's a new shirt for you, Jessica. Ain't nothing like a good time on Jessica Prime Time. So I have not found an encounter of someone actually unaliving a ghoul. I don't know. The only thing I've ever found was like that one I was talking about where they annihilated a whole platoon of people, and that one guy survived by being covered up in decaying corpses for 4 days before being rescued. Don, I want to hunt the reserve and don't look back nowhere else was a moment. Now have to look for Bigfoot and go figure. Yeah. I figured you would. Hey, trademark that. That's yours. That's my gift to you. She would get the shirts. Heck yeah. Ain't nothing like a good time with Jessica Prime Time. Sometimes they took them out of the. Oh, God, I've got to read that before I quit putting that up. Oh, if added ghoul onto your ghoul, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I have not honestly found a way to unalive a ghoul, even when I was doing my jinn research and they were on there, because, like I said earlier, a ghoul is a type of jinn. I don't know, man. I really can't tell you. I got in a fight with a Golden Glove boxer about 20 years ago, and he didn't know I trained in Muay Thai. I started using lower leg kicks, and every time I kicked him, he would yell, "Stop doing that!" Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But I'll try to look and see if there's a way to do that. The only thing I've ever found that had anything doing with getting rid of ghouls, it was gin and period. And it's basically the power of God Almighty. I hate to say it, but that's the only thing I've been able to find so far. There has to be other ways. I mean, there really does. I need to try to get with some of them Arabic people about that. because there's got to be something else besides that. But I could be wrong. Those need a special ritual to draw the jinn into the vessel. You have to, yeah, that's the only thing that I've been able to find or so. And it's the power of God Almighty. That is what power you have to draw upon to do it. For them, it's they to Allah, drawing upon Allah's power and blessings and grace to create this magic to be able to encompass them into it. But yeah, teaching and the tonic. um, but that is the only thing I've ever found. As far as one being unalived, I've not found an instance where somebody could do that. I could be wrong and I've not found it, and there actually is. I just haven't found it yet. So, yeah, I mean, I need to look into that. That's actually a really good question, man. And oh crap, where'd my notepad go? If you guys get a chance to talk to Demiria, let her know I need her to message me so I can get her address to get that book out to her. I'll add that to my list of stuff to look up. No worries, Freaky. There is. I mean, so wrought iron and salt has been around in many cultures for a long time for keeping paranormal, supernatural stuff out. So I mean, far as me looking into it, I would say that is one aspect to approach to it. But that's to keep them out. That's not really to unalive them. So I don't know, man. I need to try to find someone over in the Middle East and that's knowledgeable on this type of stuff and see if I can't talk to them. Possibly even get them to come on one time and just kind of talk about this stuff. But the one encounter that I found that they actually shot at these things in no man's land, if memory serves me correctly, he did see the round impact him in the ribs. I believe it was the right side. And the thing just kind of winced around and got up and gave it that one hell of an evil, I'm going to whoop your ass look, let out this hellish screech. And next thing you know, there was several of these ghouls coming into that trench and unaliving people left and right. And if I remember right, the guy that survived was a 15-year-old boy that lied about his age. Got sent there, and he's the one that packed them bodies on top of him, and he almost died from that because of all the bacteria and the diseases, being in them bodies for them decaying bodies for 4 days. It works, Corey. That's what I thought. I mean, I know it does on a lot of paranormal, supernatural stuff here. Jinn is a totally different beast. Them things ain't nothing to mess around with. A daggone jinn will jack your world up. When you do your shadow work and keep your vibrations high, you are safer against negative beings. Yeah. It's I've heard that, and I mean I can't say no because I mean I've been fortunate so far. Although I mean I've had them still mess with me, but not to a dangerous level, enough to scare the crap out of me. So, That's definitely, well, definitely possible. Um, put I added something new to Robbie Rains's uh, link. You guys, I want you to go over and check him out too. I've got his email and his Instagram stuff for his Lone Wolf Customs, along with his YouTube channel. What's really out there? Um, that's what I thought. There we go. So, Robbie Rip Rains is a co-host DX Machina. You're fixing to see him here in just a little under 30 minutes if you go to DA's channel. He has his own YouTube channel called What's Really Out There, and he likes to tell you that he's DX Machina Light. Him and Johnny do a really good job on doing these shows, and they're usually short 30, 40-minute shows, but they're really good. He also does custom engraving stuff, and his business is called Lone Wolf Customs. You can email him at rrrain8@gmail.com to ask him about his stuff. You can also go to Instagram to Lone Wolf Customs and see what he's got available. I'm going to be getting some metal business cards made by him soon. I'm talking to him about either having some hats made for the show to sell, or patches that I can sew onto hats later on. I haven't quite decided yet. I got to save up some money, but I'm definitely going to be hitting him up. That man does amazing work with this new engraver he's got. So if you get a chance, go over to YouTube, give him a follow, like, subscribe, share, and thumbs up. Let him know so hi. Follow him on Instagram too at lone.wolf customs, and do the same thing there too, man. You will not be disappointed. Yeah, the merchandise that he makes. Yep. Why does Streamlabs say that? Oh, it double tapped it. Okay, it double tapped. I see what happened. Okay, I want to shorten that down some. I see what happened there. Train a Bigfoot and teach him to use a sword, but this only works if you train him with Bowden. It could happen or not. Well, I mean, that's actually a pretty cool idea. Actually, a really cool idea. You know, if you study on how to unalive vampires and werewolves, they each got their own thing, but they both have a common one. If you want to unalive a vampire, you befriend a werewolf. If you want to unalive a werewolf, you befriend a vampire. So, kind of fits in with that category. Rock, salt, and the shotgun shells were meant to ward off. Then they just people. Oh, Corey, I didn't know that. They was used to ward off supernatural things. I did not know that. Thanks for that information, Corey. I never really thought about it because I know it was always used to being shot at us. Yeah, laser engraving on metal, wood, or leather. Yeah, he does really good work. You guys go to Instagram and look up his stuff. I'm telling you, that dude does some great work. That makes sense, though, Corey. In all honesty, that really does make sense because, we know what salt does. I can't dispute that fact about it at all, man. Huh. I definitely need to look into that some more. That's a really good thing to know. That novelty gun for flies that shoot salt to kill flies was made for other ghost purposes. I did not know that either. I've always known them as I've shot flies, roaches, spiders, and all sorts of stuff with that dang thing. I'll get a kick out of it when you lay the Swahili on an insect with one of them little salt guns that you use to unalive them. Kind of cool idea, though. You'd think you'd want something a little bit more powerful than that, but maybe not, dude. I mean, maybe not. Here in about 20 minutes, DA is going to be on his show. I've got to swap some laundry out, so I'm going to be getting ready to shut it down here in a few minutes, so people can get ready to go on his show, and I got to swap out my laundry so I can go to bed without, because I got to be up early and deliver voting machines tomorrow. But before we do, does anybody else got any more questions on these ghouls in World War One? Oops. Oops. You were reading my mind, Urso. I ain't gonna lie. That did pop in my mind. Yeah, here in a little bit on DX Mocking on YouTube, will be DA and Robbie, and they're going to be reading from their book. Oh, Robbie just sent that to me. Give me a second here. Apex Predator, Lily Moon is what they'll be reading tonight. DA is also an author, so if you go to Amazon, look at DA Roberts, like you do with mine with E.D. Testerman, click on the name above the book. That's the author's fan page. Anytime he does a new release or I do a new release, it lets you know. Oh, get back up here. If you guys ain't following William Nighthawk on YouTube, go to William Nighthawk 6630. I'm usually on with him. Right now, he's in hospital, so he's not able to do some shows. But William's a wealth of information when it comes to Native American lore. Definitely give him a follow. My good friend, actor Jesus Payon Jr. If you go to YouTube and look up Breaking Bad and Breaking Discoveries or Breaking Bigfoot. I said Breaking Bad because he's an actor on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, Two Guns, Albuquerque. He's been in a lot of shows. He's like 50 different shows and movies. Give Jesus Payon a follow. And, I mean, he's a rock solid dude. Very, very blessed to have come across him as well. All these guys are amazing that I recommend people to, follow. Just let them know I said hi. If you go to Amazon and look up E.D. you'll see my books. Click my name above it and take you to my author's fan page. Like I said before, anytime I do a new release, it lets you know. My books are available on Kindle, hardback, paperback. 4 out of 6 are available on audio. Soon, all 6 will be available on audio. I was not aware that there was men who did their own laundry. I'm a single daddy, Firewater. I'm a single daddy. So if I don't do it, it don't get done. So, yeah. Yep, we do. I would love to have a nice woman that takes care of that stuff for me, but nope, that's just me. Later, all got to go and for a few things before DA show. Don, thank you for coming in. Take it easy. Hey, see, there you go. Kevin does his laundry, too. I'm not the only one. Neener. Yeah, I got to. Sundays is my laundry day because, my work week starts on Monday. I work 4-10, so I work Monday through Thursday, 10-hour shifts. So I always do my laundry on Sunday, so I got fresh, clean laundry ready to go for the work week. The other 6 days a week, my daughter is taking over control of the laundry, the washing machine and dryer. So, hey, take it easy or so. So I want to go ahead and we'll go ahead and shut her down. This is the poem that I wrote to close this show down. If you guys, if I missed anybody's questions or you got questions, you can always email me or hit me up in the chat on this show again on the replay. And I'll answer the best I can. I don't know your age, so I can't say that. I'm 45 and I do my own. Yeah, I don't know. I'll make my daughter do hers. She's 17. She can do it. There comes a time when a warrior falls. They leave this realm and be missed by all. Raise a glass and keep them in your heart. They have kept this realm safe and performed their part. Look to your veterans, your active duty, your EMTs, and the blue line. What they do or have done was walk that fine line. When a demon comes calling on your soul, they will be there to save us all. Hold them in your prayers, for they are deserving. They all have served or are serving. Um, I'm the you guys are a hoot. To all my subscribers, the OGs and up to the new ones, thank you so much for following me. I'm truly blessed and honored for every single one of you guys. I love the comments. I love the interaction. That's what makes these lives so much fun is interacting with you guys. So I really love that and appreciate every bit of that. So thank you so much. Until next time, you guys. I'll see you later. Peace, love, and blessings to every single one of you guys, and hopefully I'll see you in chat DAs here soon. Thank you, Firewater. Good night to you as well. So, I can always, I used to tell my daughters before they went to bed, good night, Neverland. They're a little old, so it's hard to do that anymore. So I may just say that. I say that in DAs all the time. So here we go, y'all. Good night, Neverland.